It's the golden era of NASCAR, compiling 20 races this season. And live tonight from the virtual Auto Club Speedway, it's time to get nostalgic as we come to a racetrack that's no longer in service. Here tonight, live on Vspeed, it's the SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper. Alongside me here for race number 2 tonight, we've got Alex Gagnon up in the booth. Of course, our amazing sponsors here with Admin Box, Rapid Fire Pizza, Aspiration Homes, putting this all together. Alex, I tell you what, after week 1, we saw the guys that are good at the super speedways, but this track, it's a little more of a intermediate style. You're going to have to use the throttle, actuate a lot, work on the brakes, and all the horsepower is going to be hard to connect here.
Yeah, it really is. Coming from Daytona, you don't really have any true assumptions about who's going to be the front runners this season just yet, as anyone can really put together a good super speedway race if things fall your way. Tonight marks the first true test, I think, for these drivers of who we're going to see up front battling for wins this season, battling for that points championship at the end here. And it all starts tonight, 2 miles on the super wide track here at Auto Club, a track where you can run a lot of different lanes to varying levels of success. It's just a matter of how your car is handling and what part of corner entry and corner exit you're trying to focus on.
Race analysis coming up on your screen. We failed to put it in here again, but 90 laps here today. And of course, there's a stage at lap 45. When the leader crosses the line to complete lap 45, that will give stage points to that driver and the top 10. Of course, those drivers will keep racing, unlike other leagues that we've seen here previously on Vspeed where they'll have a yellow. We're going to keep on going, and this is a little bit more like the 2005 era of NASCAR where they had competition-style cautions, but we're going to go with the wide racetrack, multi-groove racing. Got to be careful with the 2 green-white checkers, 100% fuel, and 4 tires across the wall. Schedule coming up on your screen. Of course, next week we'll be at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and you can see the 20 race to the 5 race chase. We're fast approaching on that already. This season's going to end before the end of the year, so they've got a lot of work to do here, and we've already seen it shape up here in the points, Alex.
Yeah, we have. So while Daniel Giroux got the season opening win at Daytona last week, taking it by the slimmest of margins, second place finisher Michael Sturgill sits atop the points because of his finish in the stage as well as race end. His 52 points paced the field. And already, we're 1 race in, but if you didn't have a great Daytona, you really don't want to have a poor Auto Club as well, as it's going to put you in a really bad hole only 2 races in.
Well, and if you're looking at the standings versus where Michael Sturgill is right now on the grid, he's already looking pretty good here at Auto Club, just outside the front row. He is about 3/100ths of a second off of your pole sitter currently. We still have 5 cars to qualify, so I don't want to officially announce anything yet as we come up on that last minute. But there are a few guys in here that are up there in the top 10 in points, but like we said, going to Daytona, totally different mindset, totally different ball game. It's kind of apples to donuts, really, because this place is kind of where you separate the men from the boys, who can drive on and off the throttle and save their tires the best.
Yeah, and with the high horsepower that these Gen 4s have, being able to save your tires a much more difficult task than some of the more modern editions of the NASCAR Cup car with slightly lower horsepower that can make it a little bit easier to save tire. These things can absolutely fry a fresh set of tires if you're not careful, so that is definitely going to be something to keep an eye on these longer green flag stints tonight.
Well, that's it for qualifying. We're getting set up, ready to grid. Let's take you trackside now. Get that information up on your screen. Starting on the pole, well, it stayed the same as I was just about to announce it, and I retracted. Jose Ruz is going to start on the pole with a 40.461. To his outside, Michael Sturgill, points leader. He's going to be in the 2nd position in the number 3. Gabe Ellison is going to start in the 3rd spot with Curtis White in 4th. Row number 3 belongs to Michael Mullins. Casey Carrington is going to start 6th. 7th, Michael York, Josh Dillon in 8th. I know you got to be careful saying anything Dylan here lately, but Daniel, Drew? Drew.
Yep,
Okay.
there you go.
Yeah, I struggled with that one last week. Sheldon Atkins rounding out the top 10.
In row 6, Clinton Sneed in the 49, Dylan Rosenberg in the 91, making up 11th and 12th. 13th, it'll be Craig Martin, Justin Ray to his outside in 14. Row 8, it's Michael Garone in the 66, Josh Taylor in the 7 to his outside. Row 9, it's Jeff No in the 55, Anthony Hall in the 37. And rounding the top 20, Tim Bruce in the 411, Nathan Rogue in the 87.
Quite a considerable field compared to what we had at Daytona. We made about 24, 25 cars last week. We've got almost 30 plus out here tonight with Kane Lee starting in 21st. Clinton Castleberry is going to start in 22nd. Chris Waddle in 23rd with Stephen Melnick in 24th. 25th, Thomas Stokes with Cade Sullivan in 26th. 27th, Kyle Shelton, Drew Mason, his outside in 28th. 29th, Stan Carnathan with Elijah White in 30th. And a couple cars not hitting the grid just yet. Max Steck, Dan Adams, rounding out your field here today. Well, we have an opportunity here. Let's go ahead and take it. Let's pull a random driver, anybody you want here.
Alrighty, let's see if we can bring in our pole sitter, Jose Ruiz.
Jose Ruiz, you got a copy?
Yeah, I do. What's up?
It's Bradley Cooper and Wilmo the Duck, otherwise known as Alex Gagnon in the Vspeed booth. You starting on the pole here. Got the Mark Martin throwback. You feeling pretty good about Auto Club?
We'll see. This is my first Gen 4 league I've been in, so I've maybe ran one or two official races in Gen 4 cars, but I mean, good start so far. I didn't expect to get the pole, but we'll see what happens here. Hopefully keep it green and not spin out. So hopefully it goes well.
Keep it shiny side up. Maybe we'll get to talk to you post-race. Good luck out there, man.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
It's Jose Ruiz in the 6th car. He's going to start on the pole. Alex, I'm excited here for race number 2. This is where we're going to see the shakeup, the guys that are a little bit faster than everyone else, as we group them up here for race number 2, live from California, Auto Club Speedway. Pace car is going to get out of the way, and the Sim Racer Hub Challenge Series Week 2 underway on Vspeed. Lap number 1, there it is right there. Sturgill takes it away. He's going to get that bonus point. Stole it in one corner.
A strong start there for the 3 of Michael Sturgill, but with this being a 90-lap race, you can't get overconfident just because you took the lead away on that opening lap. Still have Ruiz and Ellison in the mirror there, but a couple of the cars that we saw at the front of the field for Daytona already presenting themselves in that top 4 there with Sturgill, Ellison, and Carrington, who started up front a lot of Daytona and then fell back as the race went on, but had a great speed in the early going there. Looks to have it again here today in California.
If I remember correctly, Casey Carrington had problems during Daytona, so he's looking to rebound a little bit here. Quite a few of these guys that are up in the top 10 had problems later in that race, so it's going to take a good week here to kind of negate Daytona. But, you know, we always chalk up races like that. I almost say that you should change the name of Daytona and Talladega to Las Vegas because it's a gamble every time you go there.
Yeah, it certainly is. And those super speedways, you know, anything can happen. And these are the kind of races, I think, especially early in the season, where drivers really start to feel comfortable with, all right, everything's kind of back within my control again, or at least as much as there can be in a stock car race here. So they're going to get settled in the early going here, start trying to hit their marks, get into a rhythm, and see where they start shaping up against the rest of the field.
Right on board there with Curtis White in the number 63. He's still trying to get clear of Josh Dillon. Not quite able to do it. Almost some contact down the back straightaway. It's another factor in these cars with all that horsepower coming off the corner. It doesn't like to drive in a straight line. These staggered chassis are very difficult to keep going down that back straight.
See these big straightaways here, an opportunity to still utilize some of that draft that we saw in Daytona to a bit of a lesser degree here without those restrictor plates, but still play a prominent role. So you'll see drivers kind of moving around the straightaways as well as the corners, not only trying to find where their car handles the best. On these straightaways, you might see some cars moving around just a hair, trying to break that draft from the cars behind them. Maybe not so much in the early going, but as we get closer to the end of this thing, you'll see a little more bobbing and weaving, as you don't want the cars behind you to be able to develop that massive run going into the corners.
Still a little bit of three wide offset action back here with Tim Bruce, Michael Garone. Kane Lee there was just in the middle coming out of turn 4. This is just inside the top 20 here as they come down the front stretch. The serial killer driver in the 411 trying to hold defense on the position he started this race in right now. You got a few movers. You got comers and goers. Biggest movers so far. Well, it's kind of tied for 3 positions gained here between Daniel Giroux and I believe that's Michael Mullins that up here in the 8th position.
Solid start so far for the 24. Moving up a couple positions here, trying to work to the inside of Josh Dillon. To the 12 coming back up in front of him. And the 24 is going to follow him in here to turn 1. Couple laps in now, everything's starting to stretch out a little bit here, and that's not atypical for Auto Club. But then you see these corners, everyone fans out to a different lane, and things can get real dicey coming back off of 2, as you saw a bit of a slide there for York. Everything compacts back down in the 1 lane on this back straightaway. And the moment they get back into the corner, everyone picking their own lane to get on through.
You got to keep that clean air in these cars. Very aero dependent, very mechanically inclined. This is before the days of having that underbody and all the big spoilers. This is just the driver's car. It's mostly mechanical grip that you're going to see here. And for a lot of these guys, just keeping the nose clean is going to be the challenge. As we see the 6, your pole sitter, he has lost 4 spots. He's about to lose another. Actually, he's lost 3, but he's about to lose his 4th here as the 63 of Curtis White looks to the inside down the backstretch, and the 92 probably going to follow suit here into 3.
Yeah, the poles that are starting to fall back here. Ruiz sliding out to 5th. Now Giroux looking to the inside, although he really compromised his exit off the corner there. Trying to get down and away from the 6. He's going to cost himself a ton of speed. Might get run over here as he goes 3 wide into turn 1.
Oh, and a chop on the nose there from the 24, who's still trying to get around your pole sitter. It takes it all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack now. Michael Mullins looks to the inside. 92 just behind that. He's recovered, but that turn 4 exit almost costed him 3 spots.
That was a really tense moment there for a couple of drivers, and it's not quite done yet. You see the 24, he is right on the edge of control there, running that bottom line. That car kept wanting to step out on him, but expertly done to maintain speed and keep that car in a straight line. Drew gets on by the 91 of Rosenberg there, and the 6 of Ruiz kind of trapped in the outside right now, and I don't think that's where that car really wants to be handling as he continues to fall back in the field. Jumping up front, though, Michael Sturgill. Nice little, almost a second lead here over teammate Gabriel Ellison. Then you got Carrington back there in 3rd, hot on his heels, but the leader opening up a pretty sizable gap here in the early going.
Easier said than done, and like you said, it's not really characteristic of this racetrack to spread out so early. Only 10 laps in, and you see a lead like that. That means Michael Sturgill has this place figured out. Lap 11 underway here. Top 10. Well, they've changed hands. Jose Ruiz has fallen back to 8th position now. So he said he hasn't ran very much in the Next Gen Series. These first probably 30 laps or so are going to be more of a learning curve. Did well in qualifying, but qualifying speed versus race pace, some of these guys just playing different strategies. And you can see Sturgill, he's not saving anything. He's pulled out, and he's going to continue to pull out. Looks like Casey Carrington's going to try to work on your second place driver who gets a little bit loose. They both get loose out of 4.
Yeah, a little bit of a wiggle there. Neither driver able to capitalize because of it. Although, looking a little further back there to Curtis White, he was actually able to reel in the back bumper of Carrington a little bit more. He's closed into a couple tenths here. And the 63 gets a little bit lower than Carrington there in 1 and 2. Starting to reel him in a little bit more as, again, the 43 a little off balance coming off the corner. And you're going to see this 63 close right up to him as they make their way into 3, I feel like.
Still fanning out back here. That's a dive to the inside of Michael York by Justin Ray. No, I take that back. That was Sheldon Atkins. And there's the 22 of Craig Martin cracking into the top 10, but really loose. Almost a problem there out of 4.
That almost got really dicey there. Craig Martin and Atkins nearly found each other on the exit of turn 4, and that would have been catastrophic to Michael York directly behind him. Luckily for everyone involved, though, they're looking the right direction, still at full speed, no damage, no contact even. But definitely a moment where you clench the wheel just a little bit tighter there as you see Martin slide back into the 11th position here behind Atkins, but ahead of York. And looks like a couple of cars are starting to get a little jerky into the corners here.
Yeah, I don't think York meant to do that, and he's still fighting the wheel as he comes out of turn 4, but that entry into 3 was interesting to say the least. He almost lost it.
Yeah, and that's certainly not a place you want to lose it here going into the corner at that speed. Even though you have to get on the brakes here for the corners at Auto Club, you don't have to get on them a ton, so you're still carrying probably over 150 miles an hour going into the corner. So if that thing found its way back up into a wall, it was going to be absolutely catastrophic to the integrity of that car. And now York just lucky to kind of keep this thing under control as Justin Ray is going to dive to his inside here, trying to take that spot away.
Ray's going to get a little bit loose as well, and it looks like any car that gets pinned down there on that bottom line, unable to keep the speed behind it. Looks like the bottom groove has not broke in just yet, and it's going to take a few more laps for these guys to work. Lap number 15 now underway. Sturgill, sizable gap. He's lengthening it out another tenth of a second. Side by side, Casey Carrington. He has it briefly here as they go into turn 3.
That 43 machine going to look to the inside. We've seen cars struggle completing the pass off of 4 on the inside the past couple laps. Will Carrington have any better luck here? Tries to move up, but again, you see cars just continue to get loose here coming off the corner because you can't drift all the way up to the wall with the car on your outside. Compromises the exit for the 43. Although he didn't lose Ellison there, he just wasn't able to complete the pass. I think he might have better luck here through 1 and 2 as it looks like the 27 drifted way up the racetrack, and Carrington's going to slide on by the second.
What I did notice there, though, while Carrington was running side by side, they gave up a little bit of time. Now that they're single file back out, I would look to see the 43 maybe reel in Sturgill a little bit here. We're going to find out how much the 3 burned up his stuff as you see that lead dwindle down now under a second, and he's pulling away from the 27 of Ellison.
Yeah, right now Sturgill out front. Pretty easy drive for him in the early going. Might be coming up on some lap traffic here in a moment. But that might put a slight wrinkle into the rhythm that he's got established so far. But right now, he has led just about every lap of this thing and has been cruising along. Carrington has closed the gap down from about 1.1 to about 0.9 seconds. But you can see on board here with the driver of the 3. Pretty calm here in the early going. Some active hands, but not anything to be too concerned about. He looks pretty comfortable behind the wheel right now.
I just wonder if that left hand has got the feeling back in it. He said something about he was having problems or issues there in the pre-race. His left hand was numb, and he said that his glove was interfering with the feeling. So when you have these direct drive wheels, you almost have to have some kind of protection on top of your skin, because you hit a wall and very easily could just strip those fingerprints right off.
Yeah, no kidding. So right now, this is probably the best place for him to be running, out in front with no cars in the zip code that he's currently operating in. We jump back here. The 24 of Mullins has done a great job in the early going here. He's up a handful of spots, and he's looking for more here as he's going to try and take away fourth from Curtis White. The 63 and the 24 putting really strong runs on here in their first race of the season.
It's down to the bottom for the 24, offset 3 wide. Looks like the 27 of Ellison still struggling a little bit there on the exit of turn 2. 24 of Mullins catches up. He's right on the back bumper now of Curtis White. White's going to give him the inside, but that hasn't worked out well for anybody else. 24 really the only car that's working the bottom of the racetrack. A little bit better than everybody else out of here as he moves up. Almost clear of the 63 he is.
One of the only drivers we've been able to see make that pass on the bottom of the racetrack coming off of 4. And as these tires continue to age, I believe that's just going to become even tougher and tougher. So the 24, the fact that he can make that pass down low off of turn 4, I think is going to be a huge advantage for him that not a lot of other drivers in the field are going to be able to replicate.
Well, you're seeing everybody else struggle. They've worked it up about half a lane from the bottom of the racetrack since this race began. Go back here and look at Nathan Rogue and Raj, rather, and looks like Anthony Hall. Still a lot of racing going on here. 15th through 20th position, all on top of each other, and some damaged cars back there with Thomas Stokes.
Oh, bit of a slide. Oh, and there he goes. Around. Oh, and into, I think, the infield wall. Heavy damage for the 11 of Thomas Stokes. That spin started up with the 87 of Rogie almost. It was a tight moment there with him in the car he was trailing. And ultimately it ricocheted back, contact with the 11 in the car he was running alongside. That may have been the 55. And the 11 hammers that inside. Oh, sorry, the 66 of Garone. On board here, you'll see Garone right to the outside there. And as they make their way off the corner, they find each other. And
this is going to hurt.
Wild ride. Oh, boy, right into that infield wall. But since he's out of the racing line, iRacing would not deem it a caution, as it would not be in the racing surface, hence why we stay green here on lap 22.
It looks like the 25 had a problem as well. Same issue.
He just gets loose and drives directly into that. I wonder if something broke on that car, and there wasn't even an attempt to get out of the way of the infield wall.
I'd say something definitely broke right here.
Yeah, you can see that wheel was fully turned to the left. He was trying to get that thing down pit road, and it just would not turn when he caught the grass.
And a car coming down pit road safely this time. The 5 of Michael York.
York going to bring it down pit road. First car we've seen make it down pit road today intact. Or at least seemingly intact. It looks like it's in good shape from up here.
So does this start it? Because we're at lap 23, 100% fuel. You'd have to think these guys could go at least to a lap 40-ish, I would think. But looks like a scheduled stop possibly for the 5 of York. He's going to get 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles, and they're going to drop the jack, put that car back out on the racetrack. It's like he's going to get a little bit of damage repaired here. Now, look at the lead now.
That opening stage in half, but with no caution at the stage break. Does raise some questions if he's trying to get some damage repaired on that machine. But to your point, Bradley, look at the 24 of Mullins go.
Yes.
Michael Mullins cruising through this field now in the middle part of this stint. and is closing in on Michael Sturgill, the leader here. That gap down to 0.4 of a second and shrinking rapidly.
Starting to see a little bit of ill handling from the 3. We haven't seen that all day. He's changing up his line, trying to negate this run that the 24 Mullins is putting on. We saw the momentum swing after about lap 15, where the 24 really started to turn up the heat. The only car on the bottom of this racetrack right now, and it's proven to be the line as he shaves another 0.2 going into turn 3.
And one thing that I really like about the line the 24 is running here, let's see if he's able to do it, is that he doesn't seem to have any sort of instability or like wheel shake coming off the corner that so many of these other drivers have had. You see, he was rock solid coming off the corner there, pulls alongside Sturgill, and we've got ourselves a battle for, they door each other going into turn 1. The gloves are off here on lap 26.
That was a little more than I expected to see.
You were right on board for that one there, Bradley. He just came right up the track. Sturgill comes down. They meet each other in the middle, and bam, heavy door-to-door contact. But Mullins takes the lead here, and a new leader in California for the first time since the opening lap of this race.
He's going to come around and lead his first one, starting in 5th, up 4 spots. And has the momentum to probably pull away. Based off these lap times, he was about 0.4 faster than Sturgill last time by. It looks like another 0.3 this time around. And it's continuing to go in the direction of that bottom line. Just so much better for the 24 car. Shortest way around the racetrack. And usually, as a driver, you think, okay, that's where I want to be. But is it safe? Can you actually execute? And this guy obviously practiced it a lot to be able to do that when nobody else is.
As we jump back here to the 12 of Josh Dillon, currently riding in the 9th position here, just behind the pole sitter, Jose Ruiz. Dillon, a quiet start to the afternoon, started in the tail end of the top 10, and that's exactly where he finds himself running right now. He's got last week's winner, Daniel Giroux, just behind him as well. That 92 machine, car that kind of came onto the scene late in Daytona, wondering if we'll see the same here today at Auto Club. That 92 car right now down 1 spot from where he started, but still holding on to the tail end of the top 10 here. Only about 5 seconds off the lead here after 28 laps.
Closest battle on the racetrack really is 16th and 17th position. There's a pass there by Stan Carnathan to get around Michael Garone, and it looks like Clinton Sneed, 15th position. He's ahead of, kind of got a gap in front and behind. Quiet right now for the 49 car down on the apron there. Looks like Kyle Shelton trying to get to pit road.
And he's not alone. Here comes the 66 of Garone as well, making his way in. So a couple of cars making their way down pit road here. Maybe thinking of trying to split this race into 2 pit stops around lap 30 and a lap 60, leaving that stage right in the middle of that stint. You're seeing already a lot of cars off the lead lap having some issues. Only 23 cars on the lead lap with green flag pit stops beginning to commence here. For some drivers, that number will continue to shrink. But it has been a treacherous affair through the opening 30 laps. A couple of cars having some serious issues. About 5 cars, 7 or more laps down is a big move from the front here. Gabe Ellison coming down pit road, that 27 machine. I believe the first car from the top 10 to make a pit stop here in this race.
And this is probably the sweet spot there if you want those tires to be utilized their best. Of course, like we said here in the pre-race, we're not going to throw a yellow flag for the stage. So you're going to be able to just run it out from here, and probably one more stop for a lot of these guys. But if you're trying to stretch this out, like we have Mullins still out on the racetrack, Sturgill still out there, how far are these guys willing to take it? Are they going to go all the way to the stage break, or do they come down in short pit in response to some of these guys that have hit pit road in the top 5?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that for, Mullins and Sturgill, Carrington, those guys in the top 5 right now, is they might run a couple laps, see what the time difference is between those who just pit and those who are still out on the racetrack, and make that judgment call. But also, if you wait a couple laps, that might be too long. If you see the 37 here now make his way down pit road.
It's Anthony
so there's,
Hall.
Anthony Hall. And if you let these cars come out here on a couple lap fresher tires, you could start seeing a huge difference, and that could cost you. So I think we might see an avalanche coming down pit road here as Rosenberg and Giroux both pull away from their boxes.
These were cars that were in the top 10 as well, so you got to take note of that. A little bit of scheming going on back here with the 91 and the 92. Teammates worked well together at Daytona, now on the same strategy as well here at Auto Club. 32 laps about to be completed. The 24 of Michael Mullins took over the lead on about lap 20, I'm going to say 21.
26.
26?
Yeah.
I think you're right. He's going to come by to lead another one. Occasionally, yeah, we get it right.
What's happening here in the race?
Sometimes we get it right here at Vspeed. Casey Carrington coming down pit road, and he's got a few followers as well. The 12 of Dylan. A few others. Craig Martin. It's like Justin Ray back down pit road here. He hasn't been down yet. Time of scoring gets really confused for me here. When cars start peeling off, I get a bunch of flashy green lights, and ATVO goes nuts.
It demands attention, but sometimes timing and scoring also can just get a little out of sorts. But here's a great example of the difference between the fresh tires and old tires. Here comes Gabriel Ellison flying up to the back bumper of Michael Mullins here. Ellison pit a couple laps ago, the 24 yet to come down pit road, and the 27 just absolutely dusts him to get back on the lead lap here. However, that advantage would then flip back to the 24 whenever he comes down pit road. So by extending it, giving himself a bigger opportunity later to let the 27 burn out his tires. But for right now, Ellison making short work of those who have not come down pit road yet, as it looks like Atkins is starting to make his stop as well.
Well, I'm pretty. Oh, he's sideways. He's sideways.
Still
he
sideways.
Lost it.
Oh, he lost it. The leader spinning on the pit road.
That's a break for the 3 and the 27, because I think right there the 24 car's got all that ground to make back up now. He's back where he started.
So I guess the one good thing you could say for the 24 there is that he didn't put the car in the wall. So he's undamaged. He's just losing all that track position he worked so hard to get in that opening stint. But he'll have a hill to climb to get back to the lead here, as Clinton Sneed, currently leader out on the track by the nature of this green flag pit cycle.
What a shame there for the 24, but based off of his pace, I have no doubt that he can make that ground back up. He's just going to have to do it efficiently and pray that nobody gets into him, or, lap traffic doesn't become a factor. That could definitely hold him up here.
And with the 49 coming down pit road, I do believe that will conclude this cycle of green flag pit stops, with Gabe Ellison inheriting the lead here momentarily. And I tell you what, he was one of the first cars to come down pit road, so the field will reel him in time. But for right now, he's opened up a healthy 2.5-second lead over Casey Carrington.
Yeah, this is a pretty sizable gap here. And on and off pit road, Sturgill kind of got caught there, caught off guard, so he had to check up with the 24 getting sideways, not sure where he was going to end up. That might have cost him a little bit of time on and off pit road. But what I wanted to mention before that is it takes about 44 seconds on a good pit stop here at Auto Club. And with the way that Gabe Ellison had came out, got his lap back, he was right on that threshold of about 40 seconds, give or take, as it takes to get around this place. And I think he would have taken the lead over either way. It's looking pretty good for him here. The strategy's working out.
Yeah, he's got a healthy 2.5-second lead. And, Carrington coming down pit road a few laps later, he'll have those slightly fresher tires to slowly reel in the 27, but for right now, it'll be smooth sailing for Ellison. And it'll be critical for him to try and save as much of his tires as he can while maintaining a good pace here, because he's unchallenged by anyone behind him, so he doesn't have to worry about running an aggressive line. He can do what he can to try and preserve these tires and try and balance them out as much as possible for whenever the 43 or another driver might close in on him. just with the natural age difference of those tires out on track. So Carrington sits second on board here with the 91 of Dylan Rosenberg, currently sitting in P3, and he is just ahead of Sturgill. So the 91 capitalizing on that pit stop as well, as did Daniel Giroux, who was 10th going into that pit cycle. He now finds himself in P5.
On and off pit road, picking up a few spots. Gain of 9 for Dylan Rosenberg, gain of 4 in total here for Daniel Giroux, and Sturgill kind of stuck there in the middle. Where's his speed here? Looks like he's going to peek to the inside for the 3rd spot, down on the bottom in 3 and 4, side by side out of the corner. That's the line that we saw earlier from the 24 car, and continued to run it. Let's go back and see if we can find where Michael Mullins ends up. He's in 16th spot right now, 21, almost 22 seconds back from the lead.
Yeah, and the 24 is going to be making up ground on a lot of the cars in front of him. We know that he's got a wicked fast machine out there right now, but it's just a massive hurdle to try and overcome. You see the time difference here between Sturgill and Mullins. It's about 15 seconds, and if he didn't have that situation going down pit road, I mean, he was probably about a second or two clear of the 3 as they made their way down pit road. So that issue getting on the pit road, incredibly costly for the 24. Not only going to cost him potential stage points here in a couple laps, but may ultimately cost him the race win as well.
Josh Taylor and Clinton Sneed, 2 of the cars that stayed on the racetrack the longest, now find themselves 17th and 20th position. There's the 49 and there's the 7. So spread out, like the Cartoon Network scheme on this 7 machine from Taylor. Haven't mentioned his name really today.
Got the old throwback to Robert Presley, big fan. Got that car as a die cast once as a kid. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world because I did not know that was a car that was on track because it ran slightly before my time. But good looking ride out there, and being
what
able
is your
to
time? Are you trying to make me feel old there, Alex?
No, it's just simply born in the 90s, but just barely.
Just barely. Caught the tail end of everything good, is what you just said.
Yeah, by the time I knew any better, everything had passed.
Just,
Run here, Ellison's, that gap about shrunk in half from the last time we checked in with him.
Yes, it has. It's 1.2 now as they come across the line for lap 42. This is on the stage line here. It'll be 3 laps left to complete. This is right on the mark here for the 27. He's got to hold on to this lead if he wants to maximize the points that he can get out of this run. I think that was part of his plan as to why he came down pit road so early. But now you got to start thinking about the second half of this race. We're at that moment now where this next pit stop could make or break. Do you want a short pit? Do you want to take a chance that that's going to work out again? A lot of these cars are starting to migrate to the bottom of the racetrack. It looks like it's rubbered up enough that they can do that. So everybody kind of on a level playing field compared to what we saw earlier with the 24 was making up all that ground.
I think right now, if you're Gabe Ellison, the thing that you got to think about is that, you pit at lap 30, which means the natural stopping time again would be around lap 60 if you were to break this into like 3 even chunks. However, you got to also take into consideration where you're pitting from when it comes time in about 15, 20 laps here. If he's still running in the top 2 or 3 cars, absolutely might be worth pitting around that same time and going for it. But if those tires really fall off a cliff and people start running him down over the next 20 or so laps, maybe he has to try and stretch it a little bit more, suffer the consequences, and hope for a yellow to try and get things back on cycle for him. But he is committed to running a different strategy here, I think, than the rest of the top 5. And it might get him the stage win. A little tougher to tell right now if it'll get him the race win.
Time will tell here as it's down to 0.6 of a second. Already, Casey Carrington could smell that stage victory. He now has the draft of the 27 car coming out of turn 4. White flag in the air here for the stage. Remember, they have to complete lap 45 for this to count here. This is going to be a close one, Alex. I don't know.
Carrington's definitely closing in on him, and I think will take that spot away soon. However, the question is, will he be able to get there at the end of this lap? And I think he might just be a little too far back still to make that happen. I think Ellison has timed this well enough that he'll be able to just hold on to get that stage win before the 43 of Carrington wheels on by. But the 43 going to give it a proper lunge here into 3 and 4, cutting that gap down significantly. It's under 0.2 of a second now. As they make their way off of 4, the 43 going to get real close.
That's a close one. That's down to just 1/10 of a second here as they go into turns 1 and 2. But Gabe Ellison is your stage victor. And all the way through to the top 10, you got Michael Garone rounding out that 10th position as they cross the stripe.
Couple familiar faces in that top 10 with Sturgill, Ellison, and Giroux, all in that top 6 or 7 cars. Pole sitter Jose Ruiz also gonna maybe not get the stage point, but he gets around the 68. Craig Martin flying down to the apron.
Using the
22 got way down there.
Using the IndyCar line to go down to the bottom there.
Yeah, and Carrington's about to take the lead here. Just looking at that timing table, the 43 to the inside of Ellison through 1 and 2. And coming off the corner, Casey Carrington takes the lead for the first time this evening.
So we've had a toss-up with different names. Now that the 24 has fallen out of the picture, Michael Mullins no longer a threat right now. Unless we get a caution that bails him out, I think Mullins is kind of out of this. It's going to come down to who works this next pit stop the best. And with the short pit on Ellison that we talked about earlier, now you've got Casey Carrington here to capitalize on the situation. Didn't get the stage win, but he was right there. Another lap or two, and he would have pushed the issue. But, he saved his tires. He's biding his time, and now proceeds to pull away. The only car that I'm still lurking and still wondering about, Michael Sturgill. He has 3 lap pressure tires than Casey Carrington. The 43 is going to try to run away as far as he can before this 3 car gets around his teammate.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I'm looking at here with Sturgill is that he has been so consistent most of this day, led so many laps early on, knows how his car handles in clean air, and it looks like he's been able to navigate traffic just as easily. That gap will continue to drop. How many laps, though, will be able to tick away before the 3 reaches the back bumper of Casey Carrington? That'll be the question as we jump a little farther back here. Rogi and Garone going to be going at it just outside the top 10. This is the battle for 13th, the 87 and the 66.
87 just got clear of him there as they went into turn 1. Looks like he will take that position away, but maybe a crossover here from the 66 car.
Side by side off the corner. And they've got a bit of a log jam in front of them. Justin Ray going to try and squeeze on by, as is the 55 with no. Looks like they were all trying to get around that yellow car up at the wall.
Cade Sullivan actually there. He's 9 laps down total. Having some problems here, just trying to get up out of the way and not interfere with the battles. Looks like he's going to bring it down pit road.
Yeah, that number 33 Corn Pops machine going to try and get some damage repaired on it, and I think it could definitely use it. That thing looks like it's been caved in a couple of places.
Sturgill has caught up to his teammate of Gabe Ellison, who short pitted. We're talking about a 5-lap difference on tires between the 27 and the 3 car. Then you have Sheldon Atkins, name we haven't mentioned too much today, but look, this is a battle back here, huh?
Curtis White and the 81 there of Sheldon Atkins going at it for 4th. Dylan Rosenberg just behind him as well. We also got some lap traffic in the mix with the 7 of Taylor right on the heels of the 91. There's a whole lot of cars all fighting for different reasons up in this group right now.
Josh Taylor right now, if the lucky pass is turned on, would have that 1 lap down. First car off of the lead lap. Steve Melnick is the last car on the lead lap in 19th position. He is coming out of the tri-oval now. But it's, kind of battles all over this racetrack. Here's the 24, Michael Mullins. going at it to the inside. It looks like Clinton Sneed is going to follow suit to the bottom of the racetrack. Sturgill was able to get by Ellison there just a moment ago. So we watch this battle with the 24 into turn 1.
They go marching in. 24 down on that apron. No one has been able to run the bottom quite like the 24 has today. You see he's putting it to great effect. He's rallied himself back to 13th. But the thing I'm noticing, even though he's gaining positions on track, the time to the leader has not really changed. When he came off of pit road, the gap was about 19 seconds. Right now, about 18.4. So while he is getting himself higher in the running order, that lead that he held for a good chunk of time there in the end of the first half of this race, that seems to be a steady distance away as Casey Carrington continues to be out front, although Michael Sturgill slowly but surely reeling in the 43.
So now this situation with the tires is coming into the play. You can see the 43 really loose off of turn 4. This is kind of what we saw earlier with Sturgill, where later in the run, the 24 caught up to him, and then you kind of feel that pressure. You can feel that sense of urgency by these drivers as we'll go on board. Watch the wheel work. He's trying different lines. He's trying to just mitigate the damage. He sees in his mirror right there as he gets loose again off of 2, and that's going to give up another 10th probably out of the corner.
Here comes the 3 of Michael Sturgill. He's led some laps in the early going. Fell back a little bit when the 24 got around him. However, a bit of a more stable pit stops there for the 3 has put him back in contention to try and reel in this lead. A quarter of a second the gap between him and Casey Carrington here on board with Michael Sturgill, as you see the back bumper of the 43 getting a little bit larger every lap they go around. Diving into turn 1 here, he really closed the gap up for a second. But
43 is loose.
Good run off the 43, a big slide. Here's the moment.
Sturgill waves to the outside here down the backstretch. He's going to take away this position. That 43 car. That 43 car is going to put up a fight, but I don't think he wants to be down there. He just had problems out of 1 and 2. I don't know that that's going to work out. He holds on a little bit longer. Side by side, it looks like he will lead that time by for Sturgill, but Surge back on the bottom into 1.
Carrington not relinquishing that lead all that easily. They're going to stay side by side. The 3 running 2 lanes up above the 43. Coming off of turn 2 here. This might be where Sturgill clears him. And he will, but Carrington wisely jumps right into the draft of the 3 to try and balance out those speeds a little bit. And they make their way into 3 and 4. Nose to tail here, as it's also letting Gabe Ellison get into the picture a little bit, as they were running side by side for a lap and a half. Letting the 27 close in just a hair. 3 cars battling for the lead within a second. Jumping back here, the 11 machine back on track after his harrowing incident early on lap 20. That car looks brand new, let me tell you. Thomas Stokes back out there.
Yeah, it's a wonder they even had a car left to salvage. I mean, you can still see some of the damage on that machine, but yeah, it's a wonder that thing didn't pop the engine the way he hit that wall. And you saw the 5 machine of Michael York. He is out of the event. Tim Bruce also, 25 of Kane Lee. A few cars that just had problems there on that inside pit wall. Drew Mason also out of this event. I don't believe he even took the grid here. And then it's Clint Castleberry.
Big slide for Melnick.
Oh.
Melnick went top to bottom. Elevated
get out
shaft
of the way?
right in front of the leaders.
I like that analogy, but was he trying to get out of the way and just catch him off guard here?
Maybe. It's tough to tell. He might have been trying to get out of the way. I don't know. All I know is that he was up at the wall off of 4, and the next thing I knew, he was down on the apron. But Carrington and Sturgill will get on by.
Rounding out your top 5 right now. Sheldon Atkins in the 81 machine. Started in 10th, and he's one of the biggest gainers here in the top 10. Dylan Rosenberg is still holding that title, though, with 6 positions gained. But he has Josh Dillon hot on his heels here out of 4.
That he does. The 12 machine going to get a good run off the corner relative to the 91, closing in just a little bit. As they go in the 1, how ambitious will Josh Dillon be here? Rosenberg, by far more ambitious, driving into the corner, but the 12 sits back on it a little bit. He's going to get a great run off the corner here. I think he's going to absolutely tear down this back straightaway. Here comes the 12 with Josh Dillon right to the back bumper.
This is the moment here. You see in the mirror that the 12 is backing up his corners. You can see he's lifting a little bit earlier than the 91, and Rosenberg's got to take note of that. You also notice a little damage on the right front as Rosenberg gets really loose out of 4, and this is going to allow the 12 to the inside. But you got to notice that little bit of damage. It doesn't look like much on your screen right here, but that's probably a tenth or two a lap because there's no aero down the backstretch. And these cars, like I said, so aero dependent. When you're going down that straightaway, it's all about draft and it's all about slipstream. And if you're cutting a weird hole in the air, it's going to affect the handling. It's going to affect your entry speed. Number of different factors here on this old sheet metal body that they used to run in the stock cars back in the day.
Yeah, and especially, you know, you're talking about how the aero, when slightly disturbed, can make a big difference. I mean, these cars reach such speeds on the straightaways where it's definitely going to play a major factor. This is a relatively draft-dependent track on the straightaway, so anything that affects the aero, even in cars like the Gen 4 that weren't as aero-dependent as the cars of today, still going to make a major difference. As you see Daniel Giroux, last week's winner, making his way down pit road for what should be his final stop of the evening if this stays green. And I think that's going to kick off a pit cycle for everybody here. One person who I do not see in the top 10 is the 27 of Gabe Ellison, which makes me think he has already made his stop and is back out on track.
You would be correct.
To that two-stop strategy.
So he did short pit. He was one of the very first cars down pit road. He's actually just now completed one lap on this stint, and he's in 14th position, praying that it stays green. That's the only way that this strategy is going to work out, because now he's committed to about a 30-lap run, 29, give or take here. And at this point, he stands to kind of do what he did in that stage win, where he could just be ahead of Sturgill, just be ahead of the 43 of Ellison and Sturgill and White and a few others that, you know, they're still out on the racetrack. He could gain a lot here if it stays green. That's what it has to do right now.
And second place car Casey Carrington is also down pit road here. The 43 making his stop from second. Looks like Sturgill now down pit road as well, the leader making his stop.
43 coming back out on the track as well.
The top 3 cars pitting lap back to back to back. So it will not be nearly as big of a tire advantage for Sturgill this stint than it was the previous one. But he'll still be on 2 lap fresher tires in Ellison and 1 lap fresher tires in Carrington. But do those 1 or 2 laps on fresh tires make up all the ground that was lost in the previous stint? You know, tire fall off here has been notable today.
Yes, it has.
A couple laps on fresh tires can really make a difference in getting some of that track position back. As you see Curtis White going to hang out toward the front still for a few more laps. Get a couple laps led under his belt. And maybe either try pitting a little bit later to maximize the tires he puts on, or maybe he's just trying to hold out for a caution at this point.
I don't know. I think he's in that window where he can play it either way. I would say maybe at the most 1 more lap, then bring it down pit road, see what those 4 fresh tires, they'll have a few lap advantage on some of these guys. He's still got the guys behind you, though, like Sheldon Atkins, your pole sitter, Jose Ruiz, and a few others, Jeff Noe, that, you know, they're in striking distance here. That's probably what I would do, is bring it down pit road here, get it on clean. That's not what you want to do, though.
Second car we've seen pitting from the lead spin out on pit road entry. This time it's Curtis White in the 63 on board here. Let's take a look at what happened, but that is definitely not what you want to do, especially on the money stop here, as he just gets in a little too hot, tries slowing down and locks him up. Keeps it off the wall, though.
Yeah, he did keep him from getting damaged, but now he's got plus probably 20 seconds through the lane on this pit stop. He's just now getting to his box where everybody else is about 44, 43 seconds. He also slips through his box. That's not going to help either. It's 40 24.1 seconds for Sturgill through pit road. We've already passed that mark. We're now approaching 50 seconds as Curtis White's going to watch all these cars he worked so hard to pass go by. And he tops off with fuel, it looks like, to try to save some of that time up.
Yeah, so here he gets back on track. Definitely has lost a lot of time out there. The one thing I guess you can say for the 63 is that at this point, there's no sense trying to save tire on that thing. It's just going to go full send to the end, try and make up as much of that ground, as much of that time as you can. And, you know, if it comes down to some sort of overtime restart, well, you may have just made your bed and it's time to lay in it. As we're on board here with, I believe, are we on board the 82 of, oh, no, the 81 of Sheldon Atkins, okay. Our leader here on lap 67 of 90.
So Atkins going to get 3 laps led here. We've shuffled through quite a few lead changes here tonight. You're just joining us here. The 24 car, who had probably the best car out here on this racetrack in the late run, misses his pit road entry just about halfway to the stage, loses all that track position. He's back in 11th. That's Michael Mullins. And we have all these different comers and goers through the top 5. But something that's been kind of consistent here today, you could take away these 2 guys right here. Gabe Ellison, he's been on the short pitch strategy. And then Michael Sturgill, his teammate, who's kind of been on the flip side of that, where he stretches it out a few more laps, 3-4 laps more than his teammate. How's this going to work out with just about 20 to go?
And with the way Ellison, Carrington, and Sturgill are spaced out right now, it would not shock me if all 3 of them ended up meeting each other with the tire differential. You know, the car in the back of that 3 with the freshest tires, the car up front with the oldest, so they may all meet in the middle. Atkins coming down pit road here in the 81 machine. So Jose Ruiz, the pole sitter, going to re-inherit the lead for the first time since the drop of the green flag. Although he is also going to make his way to pit road, so it'll be a short-lived stint up front for the number 6 machine. Clinton Sneed back out front. He also led a lap during the previous pit cycle, so he's been running longer than just about anyone out there today.
The owner of Sim Racer Hub on the hood, of course. The Sim Racer Hub Challenge Series race number 2 has been clean and green now for what seems like an eternity to some of these cars. 69 laps and counting. So we come up on 20 laps left. Your pole sitter down on pit road. He has that first stall, so he should be able to just hit the loud pedal and leave pit road on the way here. Gabe Ellison probably going to resume the lead, but you got to look in that mirror here. The 43 car, he's lurking. I don't think he's got as much of an advantage as he did last time. If you're Gabe Ellison, you got to be worried.
Yeah, and I don't even know how much I'd be worried about Casey Carrington versus the 3 there of Michael Sturgill. You know, that gap pretty equal between first and second and third. Carrington on 1 lap fresher tires than Ellison, Sturgill on 1 lap fresher tires than Carrington. I still feel pretty convinced that all 3 of these guys might end up meeting each other on track here at some point. They're all at the tail end of each other's draft, which will also expedite that process as they make their way to 20 to go. Gabe Ellison leads, but he is on the tire. He's in the situation of the 3 where tires are the biggest disadvantage for him versus the 43 of the 3.
Yeah, it's just a weird spot to be in, and it didn't pan out as it did in the stage to get those points. Still a top 3 day, though, if he can salvage this thing. I don't think that Daniel Guru could catch up to him. He's a pretty solid 13 seconds back. This is a pretty sizable gap here for this top 3. They've pulled out kind of in the class of the field, and the only thing missing from this equation is Michael Mullins, who's still climbing that mountain 20 seconds back from the lead. He's 1.1 seconds back from Sheldon Atkins here.
Yeah, it's been a good recovery for the 24, getting himself back into a position where at least get some solid points for the day. He was as low as 18th. He's back up to 8th here and potentially could pick off a couple more before the end of this thing. But I'm sure the 24 not going to be super thrilled with how this one shook out in the grand scheme of things, knowing that he had one of the cars to beat in the early going and ended up just taking himself out of it.
And riding on board with Craig Martin, he's up 4 positions. We're talking about the biggest gainers of the race. Well, here's a big gain for you.
The
10
87
spots.
of Nathan Rogie.
10 spots gained. This is a pretty stellar day for the 87 team.
Yeah, quality run here for Nathan Rogie in the 87. Might be able to snag a top 10 while he's at it, although he's not out of the woods yet because Curtis White, who we know he has a fast car, closing in behind him. Back up front, we've got some action for the lead and potentially the race win here. Carrington within a quarter second, Sturgill almost a half second. 3 cars here gonna be under a blanket momentarily as Carrington gonna send it in toward the 27. I think he realizes how critical it is to try and get by him before Sturgill closes the gap to him.
Well, so much for that because Sturgill's there. I don't think he's got much more time. He might get a lap led, but Sturgill's got 3 lap pressure tires than the leader right now, and it's pretty close here on the stint between Carrington, and I think that's the pass for the lead that the 43 needs to get done really quickly. He's not going to get it this time, not clear, and now side by side. Well, your wish is coming true here, Alex.
Yeah, all 3 cars did indeed find themselves together out on track. Carrington going to try and drive it in deep to take the lead away here through 3 and 4. Ellison and Sturgill, though, hot on his heels coming off of turn 4. 16 to go at the line. Carrington going to lead the lap, but this thing is far from over. 3 cars, quarter second apart.
31 laps led here for Sturgill. He's going to dive it down to the inside, peek to the inside of his teammate. He will be side by side coming out of turn 2. All over, taking the air off the spoiler. Looks like Carrington gets clear. And a dive back to the inside. He's thinking about it.
He was trying to navigate diving down for the lead while not also chopping the nose of his teammate. Instead, he's going to lose out big time. Sturgill goes by on the inside. Carrington leads, Sturgill second, Ellison third. 15 laps to go here from Auto Club, and this is a 190-mile-an-hour high-speed freight train into turn 1. Sturgill now going to poke to the inside, trying to take the lead away.
15 to go. Down to the bottom of the racetrack, it's clear of the 43 rather quickly. This is where you start nursing those tires for that last 4 or 5 lap charge to see if you can get that lead back. Right now, if I'm Casey Carrington, I'm just going to sit in the wake of the 3 car. Don't lose sight of him. Keep him a couple tenths in front of you. And with 5 to go, start to push this machine. I'll have to wait and see what he decides to do. They're on pretty even tires, so it's not unrealistic to think that 43 could come back. But based off this time by, it looks like Sturgill's pulling away.
Yeah, he opened it up to about quarter second there. Ellison has fallen back beyond a half second here from the 43 at Carrington. So Ellison might have to settle for a 3rd place finish here today, but he's well ahead of Dylan Rosenberg behind. And after the 27 finished 4th last week at Daytona, a podium finish here, a step forward for that 2017. Sturgill, though, if he's to improve on his Daytona result, would need to win here today. He finished runner-up last week. You know he would love to punch his first win of the season here if he can hold on these final 12, 14 laps or so.
Everybody out there in the chat right now, if you're enjoying tonight's action here from the Sim Racer Hub Challenge Series, make sure you hit that subscribe button here on Vspeed. It helps us out tremendously, and you'll never miss a single race as we have flag-to-flag coverage all season long. Alex Gagnon up here in the booth with me. I'm Bradley Cooper, and right now we are watching a clean and green race. You couldn't ask for a better environment to see what these guys are capable of doing. Carrington, rather, is keeping Sturgill in check here. 0.3 of a second as they approach 10 to go. Sturgill, who had a little bit different strategy than his teammate Gabe Ellison, and Ellison kind of probably on the other side of that regret now. It worked in the stage, it's not working now.
Yeah, it's not going to be a race win, I don't think, for Gabe Ellison today, but a 3rd place finish plus the stage win will mean a hearty points payout here for the 27 machine, so it's not all that bad. And jumping back here to the tail end of the top 10, this is the battle for 11th Jose Ruiz and the 55 with No going to battle it into turn 1 here. The 6 on the inside, the 55 up high. Going to see what he's got here. Jeff No going to fall back to 12th. But right now still a solid run for the 55. He's got a couple of cars not too far behind him there as well, Roby and Ray. But Jose Ruiz trying to salvage a top 10 result today after starting out on the pole.
We were just talking about Nathan a moment ago, how he was up 10 positions, but it looks like the tires kind of cycled through. He'd actually pitted. Oh, he's in the wall. He's still having problems. Looks like 3 seconds back to Michael Garone, so he should be okay. He's going to have to put a stop to that wall touch, though, and salvage to stay in 14th. That's unfortunate. It looked like the top 10 was possible for the 87 team. Looking here at the points, though, we were talking about it pre-race, how Sturgill had the points lead, and this guy got the victory. Actually, it was the guy behind him.
That's the guy who got the victory.
That's the guy. That's the victory guy, but he didn't have the lead in the points. He comes in here today, what, 4 points out. It's not looking like that's going to improve after Auto Club.
No, still a solid day, though, for the 92 to follow up a win with what could potentially be a top 5 if he gets to his teammate, but more realistically, probably a 6th place finish here for Daniel Drew. Not a bad start to the season, the 1st and the 6th. I'm sure he would have liked to have a few more spots out there to try and close that gap to Sturgill, but not a bad run to start the year for the 92 or his teammate Rosenberg. Back-to-back top 5s looking like might be the case here for Rosenberg, a 3rd and 5th. So those 91 and 92 cars off to a pretty solid start this year, but maybe not quite as great as the 3 and the 27, who look like they're going to be able to one-up them just a little bit here today in California.
Michael Mullins looking to get one more spot here. He might get a couple more. He's got a little bit of ground to make up here if he wants to catch up to Daniel Garou, but 7th spot now for the 24. Still running that bottom line a little bit better. Looks like the 12 of Josh Dillon. And 8th, he's probably going to end up there because it's a sizable gap of almost 5 seconds. Back to Craig Martin in 9th. So we'll take you through the top 10 right quick. It's Michael Sturgill. He has led the most laps of any car out here. He's been competing with his teammate all race long for that. And then it's Casey Carrington, who's led 10 here today in 2nd spot. There's the guy that's just behind. I think he's 2nd or 3rd. I'm not sure on the 24 Mullins. We'll have to get that stat again, but I think this is the 2nd most laps led. And it's Sheldon Atkins in the 81 machine. And we talked earlier with a few of these guys in the pre-race, and our pole sitter, he's fallen back to 11th. There's Dylan Rosenberg in the 5th spot. Solid points day for him. We just talked about both these cars. And then it's Mullins to the inside. It looks like maybe another spot gain here. He's still climbing that mountain with 5-6 laps to go.
Yeah, he's going to try and get by Giroux here. Think he'll be able to do it. And I think he might have the time potentially to track down Dylan Rosenberg. Unsure if he'll be able to get there in time to complete the pass, but that might be about as far as he can get, but might be able to salvage a top 5 for his efforts here today if he can get up to the 91. Carrington has fallen back to about half a second behind our leader there, Michael Sturgill. However, he hasn't let him completely pull away, although with it being half a second at this point, if you have anything left in the tank, I think this is the moment where you got to send it, because if you let him pull out too much further, you're going to lose the draft, and then there is no hope of catching him for the win.
Yeah, this is the time where if you were saving anything, you got to use it. 5 laps to go when they cross the stripe. The 43 of Carrington watching this win just slip through his hands. He's been oh so close all day. He's led a lot of laps. He's been up front for most of this event. And after the situation with Mullins and the situation, actually, I think there was a possibility that some of these guys, we have a car on the wall back here. Not sure who that was. But if you want to go back and talk about some of these guys that had pretty good situations, I believe it was the 63 car. Curtis White, he's recovered back to 9th, but he was in a really good spot as well to get a top 3 day. Just an error on pit road. We've seen it a lot here tonight.
Yeah, and both times that we saw it happen, where it mattered the most. It was cars pitting from the lead under green that had the issue. Saw it first with Mullins, and then we saw it there with the 63 of White. And in both cases, they've been able to rebound at least to get into the top 10, but you got to imagine what could have been for a couple of those drivers if that hadn't happened. As we're looking at the front of the field here, this gap from Sturgill to Carrington, nearly a second at this point. I think Sturgill just had a little bit left in the tank there on those fresh tires, able to pull away a bit more from the 43 of Carrington. And at this point, if you're the 3, you just got to keep a steady wheel for these last 3 laps coming up, and you will find your way to victory lane for the first time this season.
6 miles to go for Michael Sturgill. On a little bit different strategy all day long, stretched out that run just a couple laps more than his teammate, and 1 lap less on the stint here compared to Casey Carrington. And Mullins is going to snag another position. Looks like he's going to take a top 5 day. What could have been a victory. What speed this 24 car had all day. What a shame that he's not up there battling for this win.
Yeah, it really is. But I'm also looking at it. He is close 3 seconds to the leader in about the past 10 laps. The long run speed of that 24 car, I think, is better than anyone in the field today. And just not going to be able to battle for the race win when it matters most. But we're taking a look here at the 81 of Sheldon Atkins. Bit of a quiet day for the 81, but a very, very quality drive. Up 6 places from where he started. He's going to get a boatload of points for his efforts and kept that car in one piece.
That's what you have to do. We talked to your pole sitter. Keep it shiny side up. He's back into the top 10. That's Jose Ruiz in the number 6 Valvoline Martin throwback. So not a total bust of a day, and for somebody that's still kind of learning these cars, he's done a pretty fantastic job keeping this thing on the racetrack. Doesn't look like it has any damage. But here we go, out of turn 4. Michael Sturgill is going to get the white flag one more time around Auto Club for the 3.
You know, he was one of the cars to beat at Daytona last week. He had such a good run. Nearly was able to get it at the line from Daniel Drew, but came up just a couple hundredths short. This time around, though, Bradley, he's going to get some redemption for that one. He's going to pick up maybe not a dominating victory, but a very convincing victory.
Well, if you weren't a fan, you could be now. As Michael Sturgill works off of turns 3 and 4 for the final time here today. Michael Sturgill in the number 3 SimRacerHub.com machine, and that Lexus is going to be victorious here at Auto Club. Left hand still bothering him, but he gets it done.
Fights through the pain, leading 46 of our 90 laps here today, just over half the race. And the one thing for the 3 is that it was never all at one time. You know, a bunch of laps early, a couple other cars found their way there through the middle of the race, and then when it mattered most, worked his way back up to the front of the field. And gets it done, and the points leader going to extend that lead a little bit more. Comes his teammate to celebrate with him, Gabe Ellison. At 27 machine, got the stage win as well, so pretty solid day there for the 3 and the 27, I must say. Taking the stage win and the race win, and a boatload of laps led in the process.
This team putting it all together here tonight at the 2 Mile Oval in California. Post-race interviews with your top 3. We're going to bring those final results, the official ones, up on your screen right after a quick commercial break here on Vspeed. You're watching the Sim Racer Hub Challenge Series. Our coverage is going to continue right after this. Back live at Auto Club Speedway, the Sim Racer Hub Challenge Series has concluded their 90 laps here in the 2-mile oval located in California. Your winner here today, well, it's the number 3 after the redemption, a runner-up finish just last week. And this race tonight with 13 lead changes, caution-free, flag to flag. Casey Carrington's going to get second spot. Your stage winner is going to be Gabe Ellison. He's going to get third here tonight. Pulled a short pit on both stints there. Just didn't pay off in the second go-around. Sheldon Atkins is going to get a great finish here, up 6 spots from where he began this race. He'll come home in 4th. Michael Mullins climbing the mountain after the problems on pit road, trying to come down under green flag conditions, spun the tires, locked it up, and he lost a ton of time pitting from the lead, but he'll finish 5th. Good recovery for the 24, back to where he began this race. Dylan Rosenberg is going to finish in the 6th spot with Daniel Giroux in 7th. Your winner at Daytona is going to get a top 10. Josh Dillon in 8th position. Curtis White, he's going to recover back after his spin on pit road to 9th. And your pole sitter, Jose Ruiz, is going to finish 10th.
Back in 11th, Craig Martin brings it home there in the number 22 machine. Jeff No finishing 12th today, up 5 from where he qualified. Quentin Sneed finishing 13th here this evening in that 49 machine. Justin Ray finishing 14th, and in 15th, it's the 87 of Nathan Rogie. 16th, Michael Garone. 17th, Anthony Hall. 18th is the 82 of Stan Carnathan. In 19th, it is the 7 machine of Taylor, and then Steve Melnick rounds out that top 20, finishing 1 lap down in P20, up 4 spots from where he qualified.
The rest of these cars, 1 or more laps down. You have your 21st position, Chris Waddle in the 15, Kyle Shelton 22nd. Thomas Stokes, a car that probably shouldn't even been driving anymore, he's going to finish 23rd. So
impressive work from the crew to get that thing back out there.
Right, and good on him to come back out on the racetrack and get a couple positions out of that. You've got Cade Sullivan's going to round out 24th. Max Steck, is 25th here. Clint Castleberry, 26th. 27th, Tim Bruce. Michael York, all these cars from 28th on down did not finish the race. The 5 out of the event. Kane Lee in the 25 out as well. He had problems hitting the inside wall, as did the 5 of York. Drew Mason 30th. And then on your final results page, car that did not grid here, 2 cars that did not grid, is Elijah White and Dan Adams in the 99. So that brings us to our post-race coverage now. We're rounding up your top 3, and the first driver that we're going to talk to down on pit road with your 3rd place finisher is Alex Gagnon. He is caught up with Gabe Ellison.
Hey there, Gabe. You got a copy?
Yes, I got you.
Hey, congrats on the podium finish. If I remember correctly, 1 step up from where you finished a week ago, getting on the podium this time around, and the stage win the boot. Solid points day for you, but what was it like driving out there 90 laps under green flag conditions, and what was the thought on going with the fuel strategy that you did?
Yeah, it was good. That setup was amazing. Super loose. I'm super happy that we had a full green flag race with a setup like that. I feel like you get that very often, and especially in the Gen 4. Really great racing. But the first run, I didn't get too much practice, and I wasn't super confident. I was trying the top, trying the middle, trying the bottom, and kind of assumed we did get a yellow at some point. So any disadvantage I had would come back around, and we didn't. So I short pit the first run to try to take a crack at the stage win. And, just barely, he caught me, as I took the stage. So that worked out. I was really glad to get those points. I was kind of on the back foot the rest of the race because, Casey and Michael both had tires on me. I was kind of hoping I could just keep jumping them in the pit cycle and we'd catch a yellow and I could keep that track position. But, didn't work out. I kind of needed some luck there. But I will happily take a 3rd place.
Yeah, no cautions fell your way here tonight, but still a solid points day with the stage win and the 3rd place finish. And when you build off of your result from Daytona, back-to-back top fives to start the year, got to imagine, especially with this being the first non-restrictor plate track of the season, got to fill you with some confidence going into the next race at Atlanta, knowing that whether it's the restrictor plates or not, that you're bringing a ton of speed to the track.
Yeah, absolutely. These this car is a complete handful here, and I can only imagine at the 2008 Atlanta, it's only going to be. I think that's a noon race too. It's only going to be worse. I don't think you could get much more of a handful than that combo. So yeah, it gives me a lot of confidence, and I'm looking forward to that one.
Alrighty, well, hey, congrats on the P3 finish. Anyone you'd like to thank or shout out this evening?
Yeah, thanks to Mr. Clinton Sneed for putting on the league and Whole Shot Motorsports, along with simracerhelp.com. And thanks to Casey as well for all the involvement, and you guys for the broadcast.
Alrighty, well, hey, Gabe, congrats on the podium finish here. Top finish of the season so far for you, and I'm sure you're looking to build on that next week in Atlanta. Congrats again, and best of luck next week.
Thank you, guys.
And that was third place finisher Gabe Ellison.
So we're going to move on now to your second place finisher, Casey Carrington. I'm down here with him. And Casey, I tell you, man, you were on the ball. I mean, it was just a matter of like one lap in tires, a 10th here, a 10th there, but really and truly, you had the strategy. You worked with these guys, you knew what their game plan was, and you worked it to a T. Just one position short here tonight.
Yeah, it's like I was telling Michael in the waiting room. I probably should have been a little more patient there on the last stop, trying to run Gabe down. If I'd known I was going to put 2 seconds on him, I would have definitely tried to save a little more. But I mean, Michael was both Michaels were really pace-wise the class of the field tonight. It's one of those things in a race that goes green 90 laps, you can't really let somebody get 4 seconds out ahead of you at the start. So I did a pretty good job of reeling him back in. But I mean, the right guy won tonight.
Well, and let's go back to the beginning of this race. You caught up to Gabe Ellison. You almost got the stage victory. Did you feel like once you were in that situation that maybe you had the race-winning car after all the pit cycles?
Yeah, I was hoping maybe if we got a caution to kind of equal things out, but like you were saying, 1 or 2 laps made all the difference in tires, and Michael Sturgill was able to run me down from like 4 seconds on that run where I passed Gabe, so I knew that, yeah, unless he has a miscue in the pits or we get a caution that kind of equalizes everything, I was probably going to be racing for second, but you never know. I mean, it was a setup that got really loose late in the run, so there was a point with like 7 laps to go where he kind of got loose in front of me, and I'm like, okay, maybe I got a shot, and then I got loose in the next corner anyway, so that kind of equalized, but it was a lot of fun.
It looked like a lot of fun. It looked like a handful as well, and quite a few times we saw that 43 car. We could read every sponsor on the left-hand side from the onboard behind you, and you made me nervous at times tonight.
Oh, it made myself nervous, yeah, and especially off of turn four. I nearly lost it 2 or 3 times, and I'm sure, knowing my luck, it was probably front and center on the broadcast every time.
Well, Casey, mentioning the broadcast, you've got the stand right now to voice anybody that you'd like to thank for tonight's podium finish.
Well, I'd like to thank you guys for doing the broadcast. I'd like to thank Quentin for putting the league on. I'd like to thank all the drivers. I mean, what, a 32 car field, caution free at a track like this that, yeah, it's 10 lanes wide or whatever, but it narrows down off the corners. And I mean, I've seen some terrible races here, caution wise, before. So, really good race from everybody. Shout out to my teammate, CX2 Racing, Josh Dillon. Shout out to, I don't even know who all was in the channel there tonight. I think it was Showtime Racing and PTP and really just everybody and everybody that watched the broadcast.
Casey Carrington, second place here tonight at Auto Club, looking to build on this momentum and carry it on to Atlanta next week. Good luck, man.
Thank you.
Finally, that brings us to Victory Lane, where Alex Gagnon's got an interview. I interviewed him last week. You've got him this week. Your race winner after a runner-up finish, Michael Sturgill.
Michael, congrats on the win. Dominant display out there today, leading over half the laps out there and opening up pretty sizable gap at the end. Talk us through your race today. It looked like you were trying to pit later than a couple of the other front runners, and that seemed to be all the difference, but what did you see from your end?
Yeah, I thought I was saving pretty decent. I think I did for the most part the first run. But I got like a decent little gap, so I figured I'd pit a little later than them. If they made up a little time, I could make it back on the back end with the fresher tires. And then the 24 came out of nowhere. He really saved, and he got around me and started to take off, and I was a bit worried about that. But when we went in, we put together, and I saw him get on the brakes real hard, and the car slid, and that ruined his night. So it would have been really interesting to see how it played out between him and I there the rest of the race. But I watched him when he got in front of me, and he was running a slightly different line than I was. And for the last 2 runs, I ran that line, and it seemed to be fast and keep the tires on it. So that's what I did.
Well, that mid-race adjustment seemed to work out perfectly for you. You end up taking home the win tonight, able to maybe get a little bit of redemption for the runner-up finish last week at Daytona. Obviously, the restrictor plates are a whole different animal, but a second and a first to start the season has got to be feeling pretty good as you make your way to Atlanta next week.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel good about getting a win here. Wish I could have got it last week, but this one will make up for it for sure.
And obviously, you came into today with the points lead. I'd certainly figure that you'll probably walk out of here with the points lead as well. Got to imagine that fills you with some confidence, knowing that through the opening 2 races here, you're starting to put together a nice little number in that points column.
Yeah. From here on out, just try to stay consistent and stay up front. Hopefully, we can keep that lead going for a while.
Alrighty, well, hey, Michael, congrats on the win here tonight. Anyone you'd like to thank or shout out while you're here in Victory Lane?
Oh, you guys for putting on a great broadcast. Everyone, all the admins that run this league. Clinton for putting it on. And then all the teammates I have at Whole Shot Motorsports and Sim Racer Hub.
Alrighty, well, hey, congrats on the win. Back-to-back podium finishes to start the season for you. Points lead. Everything going your way so far. Congrats, and hopefully we get to see you up here again next week as well.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you, guys.
And that was race winner Michael Sturgill bringing home the victory here tonight from Auto Club, and is going to walk out of here, I think, enhancing his points lead by even more than the 4 points he came in here with.
That's actually back-to-back, I believe, on Vspeed as well for Sturgill. We got a victory there in the Clash race at Saturday Night Racing, so he's kind of on kind of a burner here, as they say. Making Vspeed kind of a boring show, I heard, because he's winning so much. So we'll have to wait and see. Sturgill could be dethroned. Any one of these guys could do it. I have faith in you, all of you. It was a fun one, though, here at Auto Club, and it's a shame that this track is no longer on the Cup schedule next week. Hope you guys can join us as we go to Atlanta Motor Speedway. If you thought this thing was a handful, well, you heard it best from Gabe Ellison and Casey Carrington. They're going to say this thing is going to be loose and fast, and we're going to take the same mentality of multi-groove racing and fit it into a 1.5 miles with about 2 lanes less next week. So hope you can join us August 20th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll have flag-to-flag coverage of the SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series here on Vspeed. But for everybody at Vspeed, and I would like to shout out Clinton Sneed for bringing us on here for race number 2 and all season long. Adam Baker in the background for all that he does to make these overlays and make everything look pretty, and he does a lot of work. We'll be broadcasting at Days It In With Y. A little delay here on the Overtake iRacing League, but we will be starting back up next week. If you can join us Friday for the Trackmaster Series. VRX is putting another one together at Kansas Speedway. Until then, have a great rest of your week, everybody. We'll see you next time.